This past weekend, we had our first homicide of 2015 that you're all well aware of. Got us to looking at some of our numbers over the last few years and seeing how are we ranking nationally. Now, one of the things we do for our homicide clearance rates is we refer to the FBI National Database. They examine other cities around the country and they give us numbers, you know, kind of what we set as our goals or our expectations for clearance rates on cases. I'm proud to say for Sioux Falls, over the last 10-year period of time, we've had a 100% clearance rate on our homicide investigations with one exception, that being in 2011. We've solved 47 of our last 48 homicides. That includes that 10-year window of time I'm talking about. What's really impressive about that is compared to other cities our size around the country, the national average is 64% clearance rate. So just over 6 out of every 10. As I said, we've been 100% every year for the 9 of the last 10 years. Another thing that I thought was interesting is that's a pretty standard trend. In 2012, the clearance rate was 62%. Again, we were at 100% then. So I think it speaks very highly of the police department, the investigators that are involved in the process. I also wanted to emphasize some of the other numbers you're looking at there. I included what are considered other Part 1 crimes, or our most serious crimes that we investigate, to include rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, and stolen vehicles. And you'll note as you review that, Sioux Falls is way ahead of the curve in every category. The national clearance rate on a rape investigation, for example, is 40%. Sioux Falls is running at 62%. So again, I want to point out, I think it speaks very highly of the police department and the team, the citizens of Sioux Falls has working for them.
What does it take to make this happen year after year, Captain?
Well, what I think it takes is it's a three-prong approach. We have a great patrol response. So you have that aspect to get the scene set up, secured, make those initial identifications, grab those witnesses, canvass that scene and set up your perimeter. It also takes a great investigations team with the resources and ability to get on these right away. I think as you go over the list, I've included the last 2 years with names of folks actually involved, and I think you'll see for the majority of them, there's a couple exceptions, but we've wrapped most of these up within 24 hours. So I attribute that to our investigations team, Sam, the media helping out by getting the information out in a timely manner. It's truly a team effort in getting these wrapped up.
And yearly training for everyone.
There's quite a substantial amount of training. Every homicide detective is given a 2-week core training class and then continuous training throughout the course of the year.
How about tips from the public? How important has that been?
That's been very crucial. We utilize the Crime Stoppers program. We're very proud of that group and that program. And just this past year alone, they were instrumental in 2 of our homicides with tips. The Kierkegaard homicide that we're all aware of. Those were tips coming in on that. Brenda Hansen homicide down on the southwest part of town. Crime Stoppers coming in on that, so very important to get those tips.
Well, not only is the rate at 100%, but also the time from the murder to an arrest, isn't that pretty quick?
I think it's pretty impressive. I don't have the actual national average on how long it takes, but I can tell you that the show, the first 48, that is very accurate. We have a lot better success if we have something going within the first day. The longer these things stretch out, the tougher they get. And that one exception I've referenced, that's going back to 2011. The victim in that case, his name was Daniel Eastman. And some of you folks may remember that case. That was one that drug on for a while because Mr. Eastman had been found downtown. He'd been assaulted. He was comatose for some time. Even after he did regain consciousness, he had very vague recollection of that incident. The alcohol involved, high-risk group that he ran with. A lot of those folks we talked with weren't terribly reliable. But there again, we had a long gap of time before we could really get the investigation going because we had no people to talk to or no areas of follow-up right out of the chute.
So this 2011